process starts with listening. And this is what most people in Scotland are telling us. They want rid of this disastrous, chaotic Tory government. They want a party. They want a party that's laser-focused on their concerns. A party that's going to help them and their families live happier, healthier lives. In other words, they want a party that puts their interests first. They want a party that puts Scotland's interests first. And for the SNP, as the party of independence, there is a clear task they have set for us to demonstrate why achieving independence is relevant and indeed vital to their core concerns. So let me teach each of the Tory government, putting Scotland's interests first and winning the decision-making powers that come with independence. Firstly, getting rid of the Tories. Never has a party demonstrated why they should be removed from office more than Rishi Sunak's Tory party. The latest wheeze in their desperate struggle for survival is to bring back national service. The national service the SNP is going to perform for Scotland is to remove this Tory government from office. In Scotland, the SNP is the challenger in every single Tory-held seat. So the electoral maths is clear. If you want Rishi Sunak out of Downing Street, vote for the Scottish National Party. To put it bluntly, across the UK, the Tories are on course for a huge defeat, a wipeout. Voters in England are going to send them packing. That is not in doubt. And that begs the question, what kind of change, if any, is that going to mean at Westminster? Now, I'm not saying that Labour are exactly the same as the Tories. They're not. But they are giving an awfully good impression of them. The only substantive change Labour seem to be offering is to change their own principles. And let me give you one really telling and worrying example. Their health spokesman, Wes Streeting, the man who in a few weeks' time will be the UK Government's Health Secretary, last week set out his plans for the NHS. He criticised the Tories on the issue of the NHS and the private sector. Fair enough, you might say. Bad news. He was not criticising the Tories for using the private sector too much. He was criticising the Tories for not using the private sector enough. He went on to say he wanted to go further than Tony Blair's New Labour. And he wrote, "I want the NHS to form partnerships with the private sector that goes beyond just hospitals." That sounds an awful lot like creeping privatisation of the NHS to me. Let me be absolutely crystal clear. The SNP rejects privatisation of the NHS, whether that is Tory privatisation or Labour privatisation. And this is why it matters to Scotland. In another interview, the very same spokesman also said this: "All roads lead back to Westminster, because even though this is devolved, decisions taken in Westminster have an impact on the NHS across the whole country. If there is creeping privatisation of the NHS, or if Labour do not increase investment in the NHS in England, our precious National Health Service faces a very bleak future. That's why I'm asking people in Scotland to unite on July the 4th and vote SNP to protect Scotland's National Health Service. Labour's tack to the right is designed to win votes in England. They don't seem to care too much about Scotland, though. They think Scotland's in the bag. What other explanation could there be to allow them to select a candidate who said this about criminal people smugglers? And I quote, "Why don't you send the smuggler gangs and put them on the barge that has been set aside for asylum seekers and ship the barge up to the north of Scotland? Who cares?" Well, I'll tell you who cares. The SNP cares. That's who cares.